One band that truly backed up their mouths 100%, without compromise or apologies, was North Carolina's infamous Buzzov. Formed in 1989, Buzzov embraced their roots and never shied away from their heritage. They were loud, proud, dirty, scary, and Southern.
Buzzov to me was like my punk rock. You know, this was like punk rock on a level that I truly understood. Like I'm not from California. I'm from the deep South. These guys show up, and then it was punk on a whole new level. And I don't think a lot of people understand that unless they're around then, you know, in the South to see Buzzov show up to your town. And I'm sure it was like that with I Hate God too. You know, these bands were our fucking punk.
The grungiest looking motherfuckers I ever saw come out of a van was Buzzov. You know, and sure enough, he's got a rebel flag belt buckle and talking about listening to country music in the van and all this shit. And I was like, what the fuck, you know? Because they're playing some pretty mean music.
They weren't ashamed to be from the South, and back then, like, you couldn't be proud to be from the South for any reason, and nobody really respected that you could be a punk rocker from the South, you know. And these guys were fucking, oh yeah, fuck you.
Being from the South wasn't as necessarily important when it first started, but then it just became, you know, like we were like a fucking turd in a punch bowl, you know what I mean? We really stuck out. Of course, until we met I Hate God. I Hate God didn't even know us, and we didn't know them, and, you know, we sounded somewhat alike. Not really. I've always thought that they were more like the metal-y version, as where we were more punk rock, you know what I mean? It started to become kind of like a pride factor because, you know, we knew we were the only band out of there doing anything like it. I mean, there was Anti-Scene, but they didn't really do what we were doing, you know what I mean? It wasn't such a huge thing, like I say, in the very beginning, but it did as we went out and started touring our asses off. You know, it became like, hey, you know, yeah, we're from North Carolina. I mean, people were surprised, like, you know, we thought only Dumb Hicks came from there and shit. So we just became more proud of it, you know?
Overall, the attitude and the
couple houses towards the end had people in them, but
you never see them.
yeah, it's weird. Sometimes there'll be tons of traffic because the people way down at the very end are what, Filipino or?
I don't know what they are.
They got tons of family that live there. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. I used to work with her, and she told me a million times what their background and what country they're from, and it's not a country I'm familiar with. And I thought I knew all the countries. You know, it's one of those she pulled out of a hat.
I mean, Buzzov was just a name that I came up with. I mean, there wasn't really any certain mission about it or any specific thing. I was just starting a heavy band, you know, underground punk, whatever. There's so many labels on stuff. More like about the aggression and angst and just, I mean, I was a 20, 21-year-old, you know, young boy, man, whatever, and it was like a way to vent. Everybody says it took like this really dark turn to where it was like we kind of sang about, you know, everything was like about anger and hatred and this and that, and it was a vent, but then it you could see where it really almost turned completely inward. And they were like, man, when it crossed that line, it was almost like you walk into a show and people would be scared or like in fear. And I don't understand it from their perspective per se, but it's like, they were like, dude, you seem like you were pouring everything out and beating the shit out of yourself to the point that like you could pull out a gun and blow your head off or start shooting at the crowd or something. And I became like this thing that I was almost creating as Kirk. It's like I used to call myself Kirk Oven. The life of being on the road constantly, which
it takes its toll whether you enjoy it or not. And it becomes like the only way to really enjoy it for me then was to get as fucking loaded as I could. In New York, we'd be doing heroin. When we were in the Midwest, we wouldn't be doing anything because the Midwest sucks. Northern California was all crystal meth. People were like, well, you did what many people dream of. And I'm like, well, motherfucker, you can have my dream. It turned into a nightmare.
They always tell you when you're in rehab, don't have a girlfriend, don't be with anybody. And we ended up getting together during rehab, but we're still together, so. Snow is falling around, there's a chill in my heart, just as cold as the ground. I mean, I don't keep tight reins on him or anything. He has to do all that himself. You can't, when somebody's into something, they're going to be into it no matter what his addiction is very strong and it pulls him in certain directions, different ways, and the mental health stuff, but we make it work. I'm glad that I can be a good influence to him and can be there for him, and we have a good time, and when it's good, it's good, and when it's bad, it's not that bad, so. We make it work. Safe at home for a reason. What it is, I can't say.
We're hoping we can just travel, me and her, and do the music that we're doing,
We'll shine. And the sun, I can't remember my words. And something mine. Okay.
I'm not taking the run.
Just a memory.
Living like a monkey, I'm high.
This is what always happens.
Darkness comes in your line. I'm gonna piss on your yard.
The sun comes to stay, and the snow just melts away.